We're not going out next week. How about that? You can't punch tables.
Suffocacet.
A folder, and I would just basically tape one end to the flash, wrap the paper around, and tape the other end, so it just made a big tube out of it.
Headshots, and it's just beautiful and it's perfect. I absolutely love that one. When I shot with the model there at the workshop, I did it with him for his headshot, and I was like, man.
Conversation, and I don't want to waste too much time here in the intro building it up because I want to let me and Rob, I guess, take it away in a few minutes. So if you want to find any of the show notes, any of the links, or anything that Rob and I tracks and questionnaires and lead management and workflows and to-dos and everything that you have to do to run a successful photography business as it relates to managing your clients, but that's just one small piece of the puzzle. Sprout Studio also does online galleries and proofing and ordering of prints, digital fulfillment, as well as album proofing, and so much more. It is the photography industry's first all-in-one system, and we think you're going to love it. Start monthly. And you can find out more information about Sprout Studio over at getsproutstudio.com. And with that, let's transition over to the conversation with Brian Camperici. And hopefully we're going to bring some insights to our listeners about a subject that I'm sure all of us struggle with one way or another. Anyway, first of all, Brian Foundation, register my business.
1995.
Here's a question. How often do you hear this scenario where somebody goes to university and gets their MBA in business, and I'll make a ton of money doing that?
Right.
Nobody does that, right?
Right.
Because typically, the only people that get into becoming professional photographers are people that have a passion for it.
Yeah.
But the ones that tend to be the most successful are the ones...
This group, not far from us here, where once a month I go and mentor a bunch of young entrepreneurs. And I was out there this morning, and there was one of the entrepreneurs who was telling us, the mentors, about how he was asking us how he can get around some certain labor things and how he can get a cheaper co-op student to run. He runs
this that I think I kind of want to throw out there right away is to say, we talk all the time about the business. This is what our whole podcast is about, is the business side of everything, almost to the point where sometimes we don't maybe spend enough time talking about the craft.
Right.
And the reality is, if you don't work on the craft, how can you possibly expect the business to flourish if your photographs are just sort of average?
those instead, still with the same beautiful presentation and great waiters and friendly and great atmosphere, candlelit, all these beautiful things, right? And then after the meal, they asked all the diners, how was the meal? And it was, oh, this is the finest steak I've ever had at an establishment, and all these kinds of things. I don't think most photographers that aren't able to make a living at photography, it's normally not because they don't have the creative side figured out, right? Because they're not good photographers. It's normally because they haven't, those who maybe are saying, oh, that's not me.
Not me, yeah. Good point.
Because I think most of us are not where we want to be. Yet so often we can make the assumption that we've got it all figured out. And I think that
really love to be getting, but because they feel they have nothing more to learn, they refuse to look at the possibilities of there's maybe a better way to do this. It's like, well, no, I don't think so, because I've tried everything. I've tried that before. It doesn't work. I've heard that a lot from people. You say, well, have you tried this? Yeah, I tried that a few years ago. It doesn't work. It's like, well, that was a few years ago. Do you think that might work now if you tried it in a slightly different way? So I think you've struck on something big here, and that's the idea of having an open mind and being willing to learn still. And to say, how could I do this more effectively? How could I do this maybe better for my customers as well as better for me? Like techniques even. It's like, wow, I've never really tried. Actually, I just was talking to one of my students the other day, and I said, has anybody tried this focus stacking technique in Photoshop?
No camera.
I have never tried it. And they're like, oh yeah, I have. And I said, I was thinking I might want to try it. I'm trying to think of this portrait I want to do where I'd be using a wide angle lens and the guy's hands would be right in the forefront, but his
sure that your portfolio is updated with your newest work, and then you're also adding to the community.
now with this,
Yeah, absolutely. So every time a user adds an image to the scope map, you're actually actually getting a direct backlink to your website. So when you create a profile with Scout, you enter in all of your information with regards to all of your social media as well as your website address. So when you add a pin to the map, it automatically